Initiating Hypergate. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hypergate activated. The portal to illuminating the collective consciousness has finally opened. Please enter the Hypergate now.
Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for Friday, December 3rd, 2021. I'm astrologer Dave Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Well, thanks so much for being a part of HighVibe.tv. Truly appreciate your subscription. And of course, looking forward to next Friday, a week from tonight, where I will be doing my live 2022 Horoscope Lecture, which of course is Age of Deception, which I'm bringing back, but in the new form. I haven't done an Age of Deception talk since September of 2016. This one, of course, is called Divine Secession. All the links below, down below, here on the app, or even on the website, or down below if you want to be in person. We only got a couple more tickets left, or we have unlimited tickets for the live stream online. It's going to be a full night event. It's going to have a lot of fun stuff going on. Definitely check it out. Truly appreciate you being part of the app, the community, or just even being part of my talk next Friday. Well, let's see what is going on here in the astrology world, because it is eclipse time. I hope everybody's doing good, but this is an intense time. There's going to be a lot to look at here. So we are looking at this solar eclipse. Now, it's interesting because actually it is happening on the 3rd on the West Coast, or at least on the western part of the Americas and in Hawaii and so forth at 11:42 p.m. So that'll be December 4th into the weekend, 2:42 a.m. Eastern. But this whole day is the buildup of this moon in Sag. It's in its balsamic phase, and it's done with being in Scorpio, which is pretty intense and kind of like feeling the eclipse more intense than usual. But we're having this one at 12 degrees, of course. And what is it doing? Well, it's a pretty big one. We haven't had one since December 4th of 2002 with the South Node here, this same eclipse. But we got Venus that's at 22 degrees, exactly where Pluto-Saturn had met. Back in with the Sun and Mercury. That was all the way back on January 12th of 2020, and that really started this whole entire place. This is the rocky road of the terrain of where we're at in the astrology right now, and Venus is getting closer to Pluto. We have Mercury, which is right next to this solar eclipse, and Mercury's in its detriment, remember, being in Sag. So Mercury's really not happy here. And even if you just look at the moment of this eclipse here, everything's kind of blanked out, but we do have Mars and Saturn, the malefics with power here. And we do even have Jupiter with power here. We actually have the moon with a +1, which is pretty interesting to see here. It is in Sag. And, there's not too many crazy aspects to this eclipse, but there is Saturn that is in sextile that it's finishing. There is Mercury conjunct. So we're all trying to understand the new stories in our life. We do have Neptune that just went direct, of course, remember, on Wednesday. And we do have the only planet now, Uranus, which is in quincunx. And to me, it's the Uranus quincunx that's the strongest aspect to this eclipse in many ways. And why do I think that? Well, all these new moons lately have all been all Uranus in opposition like we had last month, or in quincunx in Libra, or in trine in Virgo, or in square when we were in the Leo new moon energy. It's one of those things that I think it's important for us to really pay attention to, that this is a time where things are changing radically, where we're having to try and understand our own lives and how to make it better. We got Venus at that 22 rocky terrain. What changes do we need to make in our life, and how to feel better, our relationships, and of course, just, money and so forth. But the bigger part is this chapter change, this Sag story. And because Jupiter's in Aquarius and the South Node's in Sag, and this is a South Node eclipse, and Mercury's there, this is bringing up the nodal aspect a lot because it's eclipse, but because it's interesting that Mercury is with the South Node in Sag. It's not happy being in Sag, and it's with the South Node there, where we're really trying to point towards this North Node in Gemini. So this is a time where it's about being curious about things, not having an all-knowing right now. We're letting go of stories that we thought we knew it all 19 years ago. We're into a lot of things that we thought we knew it all, and we're coming to a place where right now being flexible and being open to new ideas and new directions and new adventures and new stories in our life is so important. Venus, of course, is shadow, and we're going to see that Venus retrograde start on December 19th. But Pluto is getting closer to Venus, and Mars finishing its sextile to Venus as well as this is going on. But we also have Mars at the same time, which is squaring Jupiter to begin. So Mars squaring Jupiter. So there's a lot of this ego energy, or this trying to get to the bottom of trying to have our desires and our wants, but not having expectations, or that we already know what it is. We don't know what anything is right now. And I hope it could bring some relief to you in your life, that if you don't know where things are, you don't know where you're going in your life exactly, it's about more the curiosity. It's about putting the facts together and consolidating your energy instead of being so all over the place with things. Yes, we don't know where things are going, but it's about, what makes you the most curious? Yes, Mars and Scorpio is all about the power to really have our desires met. But with the squares to Jupiter, we've got to go into things with kind of like it's a maze a little bit, and being more open to seeing how things go and not letting our ego, stop things that could be really positive, or be too optimistic about things that are factually not. This is a very interesting time where we have to kind of go through the openness of life and go with the flow, especially Neptune now being stationary direct within the last 72 hours is this eclipse. And with all the planets direct except Uranus, the Uranus quincunx is this weird energy of how do we find the better life? And Uranus is a detached energy, but also it's amazing because it's an energy that really wants to advance us forward in our lives. And Mars is wanting to do that with the square to Jupiter. It's almost willing to take too big of gambles or too big of risks. And especially when you're in Sag, can be too optimistic. So I think that this is a time where it's like, take the gambles, but don't put everything on everything. And don't be expecting the result that you want to see. We're in rough seas, whether we want to see that or not. And the optimism of that is not overdoing it all, or not putting too much emphasis on a belief, or not putting too much emphasis on how the new story is going to look. This is a long new story that you're starting for the 19 years. And so I think that it's really important for us to really start to put that together and that understanding and be prepared for a long journey, and that journey can twist and turn, especially with all the Aquarius energy, that we do have that Saturn in sextile. And I think that it's important to kind of we are dealing with so much Jupiter-Saturn, especially as we less than a year ago had the conjunction of both of those, but they're both in Aquarius and they're both making aspects to this eclipse. So we have to remember, there is this kind of yes, there's some restriction, but yes, there's the time to open up, but it's definitely just being smart with, okay, I got to go through the steps on things and I can't have expectations, and things open up when they are in flow, when they work out, and this is a time to purge the things that aren't just working out, and especially in our minds and our belief systems and how we expect things to be, and to allow the world to be as it is in many ways, and continue to go through it and find as many open doors and as many possibilities that there is. But focusing on areas in our life that actually make sense to what doors we want to open. It's nice to say that, open the candy store for me and I want all the candy. It's like, yeah, well, are you going to be able to eat all of that candy? It's like, well, what would be the point of opening the door unless it was for something you want? Maybe it's, no, please open up the door to the electronics store because I really need a computer right now to open up the story of my life to go build a business or something. This is where it's not just being so brash and not over gambling on things where you put it all in on something and that you already know or you already expect what's going to happen. because there's a delusion with Mercury starting to square Neptune, with Mercury on this solar eclipse, that it's important for us to really take in consideration that this is a time to look at the environment in our life and go, it's like finding a needle in a haystack right now for the desires that we want. And if our ego is too, I got it to look this one way only, it's got to be this, or we keep pushing towards things that are broken or things that keep needing to be fixed constantly in life right now, whether that is things in ourselves that we're going through spiritually, relationships, money situations, projects. It's like, why are we putting so much in there? We keep gambling on something that's not going to work. We definitely have to make changes during this eclipse because mutable energy is all about change. And I think that these are positive changes, and we have to see where those positive changes are, but that can come difficult, especially with the belief systems. Like, I already am in this. I have to go do this. There's always a way out. You know, it was 19 years ago. I was 6 days away from going into boot camp, and I had a feeling in myself that it wasn't the best thing to do, but I wanted to escape. I wanted to have my own life. I didn't want to have to do the normal routes of life. I didn't want to do anything but that was the weird part. It was like, I wasn't looking at the options of like, gosh, I could just go do the creative things that I do now. Like, I never thought about that, right? I never opened that door. I only opened the door that I could only go to school, or I could only get a basic job or join the military. It was like, gosh, there's a way for you at the end to just be like, yeah, I don't want to go to boot camp. And I could have got out of that contract, and I could have then opened up the doors to other possibilities, or got more into my music like I should have back then, or got more. There were so many other things I could have done. So this is where when people go, I'm already in this all the way, and this is the journey, and I'm so stuck on it, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's your ego talking with Mars and Scorpio, and it's not working, but it will work eventually. I will just keep pushing, and we'll fix it. It's like, we have to find whole new approaches now. We have to find whole entire new ways. And I think that's very important under this eclipse. This is an eclipse that is on the back of an eclipse, of a lunar eclipse that we just had with Taurus. And that same eclipse pattern just happened in 2002, 19 years ago, November 19th, 2002, and December 4th, 2002. Same degrees, except this one with this solar eclipse in Sag is happening at 12, but the last one was at 11:50 so odd minutes. So we're talking like within less than a degree. So we're talking like right at the same spot. And you have to remember that this one is really trying to open you up to a whole new emotional, way of handling life, letting go of old beliefs, letting go of these kind of sure, I'm positive that this is what it is. And you might be positive like me. I know I'm going to keep doing astrology, but I don't know how exactly that's all going to look. I don't know exactly how high vibe will look in the future. I don't know exactly how a lot of things are going to look, and I'm open to that. And I'm open to new possibilities, and I'm open to new ways. And it's about that. There's some things in life, though, that we all have to come to a place to understand that we can't have an over expectation of how things look, because that's not working anymore. And especially when you try to blanket that everybody must do one thing, or everything must look this way, you'll notice it's your ego that's popping out and saying that. So I wish the best for all of us in getting through our ego issues with Mars squared Jupiter during this one, and especially with Venus here and Pluto starting to get closer. This is an energy that really wants to hone in. Even Mars is getting ready for its sextile to Pluto. Mars has been already sextiling Venus, but we definitely have like these intense energies that are wanting to get to the bottom of things. But the square to Jupiter there's quite a maze there. And to think that you know the path, or you think you know the weather of life, you already know exactly how it's all going to go down. These are areas that have massive unpredictabilities to try and open doors for you to listen that maybe you weren't looking at before. All right, cards for this day, Friday. 9 of Swords in reverse. Upright. There's a lot of worry out there and anxiousness about the future, possibly. We'll see. What am I clarifying this with? 8 of Pentacles, with money and creation and talent, or what you're creating in your life. There's other doorways, remember that. So stop having freak out about things not working out the way that you want to, or maybe your talents and skills you feel aren't really at their peak anymore. A peak just means you're moving to a better level with it. Well, we did get a page of Pentacles here in reverse. So I feel for the challenge, it's we have to be willing to be open to new things that come to us. And instead of like closing things out, like, no, I can't take any offers. I'm already taken in my own belief system. Like, this is where you want to open yourself up to all the offers that you can in life and to see how to build your life better instead of feeling like you're stuck. We did get a 10 of Pentacles reversed overall. So I'm feeling definitely that it feels like, you know, kind of weird. Like we all are kind of stripped away of kind of that foundational element about things are right now. But we have to remember we're in Sag. It's almost like we're on a parachute right now. And we're flying and trying to find which destination and where's it all going. And instead of freaking out, it's kind of enjoying the parachute ride a little bit. Spiritual advice card is the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, it's definitely time for the wheel to turn. Definitely time for us to go into a whole new direction and let the universe spin us to where things are going. It's a new world. It's a new story. It's a new life. And there's a lot of great possibilities here, but we can't get in the way and try and stop these amazing and beautiful and very divine ways that the universe is trying to put us to. When it just comes overall with spirituality, love, any of these things that you might be thinking of right now, I got a Justice card reversed. Anything that's not in alignment in your life, that's not just, it's not fair, it's not to put any energy into it. And it's time for us to really just, I think, realize that the feelings overall, too, is maybe that this is such an unjust time on earth and there's no justice for whatever side of the fence you're on and stuff. What do we clarify that with? What's that about? Judgment reverse. You know, things that aren't coming from a higher calling, that have a spiritual calling to them, are not part of it. They're not fair. They're not aligned in our life. And things that aren't working out for us right now and things that are unjust, that are not coming from the divine, will not make it through. You have to remember that, especially Neptune and Pisces, always is the fear that the secret enemies are going to take over, and at the end of the day, they do get dissolved and they don't ever make it. And we have to remember things like that and the things in your life that aren't working. Maybe it's because you're trying too hard and they're not in alignment in your spiritual journey. I appreciate you all so much. Thanks so much. If you are not on highvibe.tv, make sure that you join highvibe.tv. I'm putting this video up on YouTube for people. I always do that for the new moons and so forth. And because it is December 3rd, it is a new moon solar eclipse for me here in California, so I'm going to put it up here. But please join us on highvibe.tv. This is what you're missing out on every day, the awesome shows that we do on here and all the awesome content. And don't miss out on my Friday pay-per-view next week on December 10th. And I do have in-studio tickets available by just going to highvibe.tv and click on events. Or just go to highvibe.tv and just click on any of the subscriptions or on your iPhone or Android. Thanks so much for all your support. Truly appreciate it, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful eclipse, and spiritual dance music will be live tonight on Friday night here for the solar eclipse. We'll be having a good party, and we will be live streaming it on all platforms and YouTube and so forth. I appreciate you all. Sending you the best on this eclipse time and this new story and these big transformational times that are extreme, but let's have a good time with them instead of being so freaked out by them. And I know there's a lot to freak out about, but let's at least try and have some fun like people in the past have always had in the craziest times of all time. That's how you balance out the world, is love. And having love can really change this place forever. Talk to you all later. Thanks so much. And I'll see you on the next video whenever I see you. Adios. Later.
Initiating Hypergate. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hypergate activated. The portal to illuminating the collective consciousness has finally opened. Please enter the Hypergate now.